let's talk about fallflation and how consumers are feeling spooked by higher prices. We're joined by William Lee. He's the chief economist at the Milken Institute. William, good to see you. I always like seeing that smiling face on our program here. Look, I'm a sucker for all things fall. I'll eat your pumpkin pie. I'll eat the pumpkin ice cream, of course, the lattes, all that stuff. But man, I didn't realize how, you tend to kind of look the other way during these seasonal things. So how do these costs of fall favorites, why are they ticking up, and are people putting up with it? Clearly they are.
Well, actually, there is a point of resistance, but I think one bright spot is that with the end of the dock strike, the demand on transportation of pumpkins and all fall favorites has really gone down. Because before, if we had a dock strike, all these trucks would have been preoccupied moving stuff that would have been moved by ship. And so that really has helped keep the price contained for our fall favorites, because let's remember, pumpkins are grown domestically. New York, for example, is served by Pennsylvania farms doing pumpkins, and all through the Midwest and California are the main sources of pumpkins, and they're all shipped by trucks.
Yeah, and it's a time-honored tradition, taking the kids out there, picking the pumpkin, then carving it, putting it out, letting the squirrels savage it. But there has to be a cutoff for the price of these things. How long before consumers simply stop buying Starbucks pumpkin spice, the lattes, and look for something more affordable?
Sooner rather than later, because even though we had a very strong job market report today, where we had a lot of jobs created, most of the jobs are in low-paying sectors, and people are just having a tough time making ends meet. The healthcare and leisure and hospitality sectors that account for two-thirds of the private job growth, those are very low-paying jobs, and people are just having a hard time, and they're going to have to cut back on the number of pumpkin pies they're allowing you to have.
Yeah, and it just goes on and on. I mean, it'll end, right after Halloween. But I mean, this is a big month for these folks. And the rising cost of pumpkins may surprise some people. You talked about they're locally made. But what is behind the price increase in recent years? I'm still a little bit fuzzy on that.
It partly comes from fertilizer and input costs, but I think the biggest component is labor costs, right? The cost of the truck driver delivering the stuff to you, the clerk at the stores are getting higher and higher minimum wages. So all of the things that account for inflation that we know about really come into these seasonal products even more so, because let's face it, these stores either sell out all their pumpkins immediately or they're done for, and they need all the help they can get getting the sales out.
Yeah, what kind of products do you think consumers should expect the biggest price hike on during this fall season?
It's going to be the normal stuff that we are seeing in other parts of the year, but right now we have a semblance of many things coming together, pushing up prices. Service prices and real estate prices, rents, these are things that are pushing up this price of storefronts. The housing costs that people face are also faced by store owners, and rents are going up like crazy. So the service prices are really the key components of these price increases we're seeing. Starbucks is raising prices not because of the price of coffee or the price of the pumpkin spice, it's because of the price of the rents and the labor that's involved in getting you that Starbucks coffee.
Interesting. And it extends well beyond there, because they also have trick-or-treating, so there's going to be a lot of candy, there's going to be decorations. Can consumers stock up on fall favorites, or is that just not feasible?
Well, Sean, you might be able to stock up on this stuff, but who's going to put up the decorations for you? Or do you really have time to put up all those Christmas lights? You're going to hire somebody. If you're going to hire somebody, it's going to cost a lot more this year than next year than it did last year. Putting out all of the trick-or-treat and ghouly displays that are in people's front yards, that takes a lot of effort, and unless the families are willing to put into it, they're going to hire somebody to do it, and those people are going to charge a lot of money. The Fed,
the U.S. government has spent a lot of time trying to get inflation under control here in the United States. So how does inflation compare when it comes to fall favorites versus U.S. goods overall?
Fall favorites are specialty goods, and they require specialty labor to put them together and put up the displays and give you the kind of design experience you're looking for. Though that kind of specialized talent costs money, and because they're specialty labor, those are the things that are going to push up the price of your fall favorites.
We have obviously pumpkins and such here, but Oktoberfest is something that really extends across the whole world. Kind of compare fall spending in the United States versus countries abroad.
It tends to be much more of an issue here in the United States because of our pilgrim traditions and all the fall spending that's associated with the days of the pilgrims. But I think what you see in other parts of the world are other holidays that are similar to ours that come at the fall, in the fall. And I think when you compare our country with the rest of the world, the seasonal patterns are not that different. People have their spending holidays as they do in China right now. The Golden Week happens to be in the fall.